Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Creators Corner. My name is James Dale, and my next guest is Rosemarie Thompson. How are you? How you doing, Miss Thompson?
I'm great. I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Heaven
good.
bless you. Heaven
Yes.
bless you. That's good.
Good.
Okay, let me introduce you. Born Rosemarie Hutchison, who grew up in the quiet countryside at the foot of St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, in a little town called Potsdam. She's the fifth of six children and the third of four girls. Growing up, she was a very quiet little girl who rarely spoke, didn't associate with anyone, and had no friends except for her younger sister, Pam. I always felt I was different. I did not fit in anywhere, she says. Even though I felt this way, I realized I had a very close relationship with God. Although I did not understand Him much, He was always my best friend. From her teenage to adult years, she worked in executive positions as a secretary. At one point, she worked for the Prime Minister typing his speeches. Her love, however, was always healthcare. When Rose moved to the United States in the early 90s, she got the chance to fulfill her passion by entering the healthcare industry. After going up the ladder from companion aide to health aide, nursing assistant, then finally nursing student, her dream came to a crashing halt when she suddenly lost her husband and father of her children to a brain aneurysm. As life changed, Rose realized that she had a creative mind besides healthcare. I have a passion for the arts, she says. I have a strong conviction about what I believe and the ability to achieve anything I set my mind to. This realization helped her adapt a boss lady persona, a mindset, and drive to accomplish whatever she wanted. Rose's love for the arts came about when her husband, Billy, took her to see her first Broadway play. She was mesmerized by the choreography, lights, and the ability of the actors to slide from one position to another without missing a beat. It was at that moment she knew she wanted to become a playwright. Her passion led her to start her own production company, Tower of Hope Production, where she produced, wrote, and directed her first stage play, The Power of Prayer. Sometime afterward, Rose says, I am not a conventional scriptwriter or screenwriter. However, as I have no training or degree either, but it has not stopped me from pitching my storylines to investors who are very interested in my stories. I've been working on a five-part murder mystery series and presently have two investors that are anxiously awaiting the series. End quote. Rose owned an online radio station called Hope Radio, featuring a mixture of programs. But unfortunately, due to a lack of understanding of the technical or operational portion of the radio, among other things, she was not able to keep it afloat. Rose presently posts content on a YouTube channel called Angels and Miracles that she hopes to stream next year, where she will be interviewing people who encountered angels or had miracles. Not only leaving out Rose's passion for the healthcare industry, she plans to open a not for profit transitional home that houses homeless veterans later this year called the Eagle's Destiny. The Eagle's Destiny is a fully registered in the state of North Carolina. With God's help, she will be up and running very soon. That is a mouthful. You have a very eclectic and accomplished background. How are you able to juggle all these things?
Um, I kind of prioritize what I have to do and how I do it. So I set aside time for each of what I have to do.
Mhm.
And the things that are not accomplished, like my movie that I'm writing, is not because I have to do it in a way where my mind is in that place. It's not just like something I go and
Mhm.
write because, as I said, I'm not a conventional writer. I kind of have to be in the space
Mhm.
to do it. But because I'm so driven and I have a lot of energy, I always get around to doing the things that I have to do.
Asking if um, tragedy was the only inspiration for you in writing.
No, actually, I started writing, and it's a kind of story that is kind of miraculous because I
Mhm.
while I was in school, I was a good writer. I have this wide imagination, and I used to
Mhm.
write compositions that I remember when I
Mhm.
was going to nursing school and doing Comp 1. I remember writing a story about obstacles, and my professor was so impressed with the story that he had to ask me if it was a true story, and I said, no, I made it all up. So I
Mhm.
have this wide imagination that allows me to write. But how I got into writing plays, well, as I said, it Billy took me to go see a Broadway play, and I was just
Mhm.
mesmerized by everything, and that's what got me into the love of art. However, writing happened in a very mysterious way. It came from a place of hurt. I was going to a church, and one of the members of the church, a good sister, a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, told a lie on me, which caused
Mhm.
a dissension in the church because the pastor's wife was really mad with me about something that I did not to do. And because of
Mhm.
that, I was really hurt and angry over the whole situation because it was just a made up story. And I don't know for what reason. However,
Mhm.
I went to church this one particular night, and it was the end of 2015, I think it was. And they were going to be doing the preparation for the year, the next year. They always do that at the end of the year. And the topic for the next year would be synergy. And the synergy is being my
Mhm.
brother's keeper. Um, because of the hurt I was going through, I did not want to be anybody's keeper. So I decided I'm going to go to church and I'm not going to speak to anybody. You know how we do. So I went to church at night and I was sitting down, and when I left, I'm looking, they put us in groups to sit down so we could talk to one another. I didn't have anything to say. I just sat there looking at everybody. And then when it was over, as I was sitting there, I'm looking at everybody and I could tell just by their actions, because I kind of have that about myself where I discern people. I could tell
Mhm.
everybody's persona just by looking at them. And as I was driving home from church that night, I heard, I think I was thinking about it, and I heard a voice said, "You know them, but do they know you?" Which kind of,
Mhm.
because it was like a clear voice. But I thought about it and I just drove home. I was thinking probably it's just me thinking out loud. I got home the night, and when I got home, I went upstairs, and while I was going upstairs, I felt like somebody was watching me. And it was
Mhm.
so real. Like somebody watching me was so real that I went upstairs. I got a 4x4, and I came back downstairs. And as I'm coming downstairs, I'm turning on the lights because I'm saying if somebody's in my house tonight, well, if you don't have a gun, there's gonna be a battle between me and whoever it was. As I'm
Mhm.
coming downstairs, turn the light on, nobody was there. So I'm going back upstairs, and as I'm going upstairs, I heard an audible voice said to me, "I am watching you." And I know it wasn't a ghost. It kind of like was in the air, but it was
Mhm.
an audible voice. And I stood before the mirror and I started crying. I was crying uncontrollably. And then the voice said to me, "Look at yourself." And I didn't want to do it. And he said it to me a second time, "Look at yourself." And I looked up at myself. And I actually remember hearing the voice said, "This is who you are." And still crying and carrying on. And then the voice continued to say, "I have chosen you. I know that you are not going to believe it." And I have it actually written down what was said to me. I
Mhm.
went to bed that night, and while I was in bed, I realized why that the voice said that to me. And the reason why it was because a couple of weeks before, I have a very good friend of mine who was telling me these awesome things about myself. And I didn't know. And I said to him, Michael, I really don't know how to believe it because I really don't know who I am. And that was the interpretation of that. That's why the boy said, that is who you are. So as I'm laying in bed, they are still crying. I heard the voice said, write a play. I said, write a play.
Mm.
That's exactly what he said. He said, write a play. And I remember responding this after when I said, write a play. I remember I said, okay, Lord, that's exactly what I said. The next morning, I got up, I took my laptop because I was going to be working at a new laboratory. And I would have to just be there while they set the laboratory up, right? So I took my computer and I went to work. I said to the two ladies in the
Mm.
office, I said, I'm going to write a play. And they laughed. One girl said, I see you in Hollywood. The other one said, oh, never. And I sat down there, James, and it was the 15th of January. In 2 weeks, I wrote 1,100 pages. I wrote the whole play for 17 characters. I write night and day.
Wow.
The thing about it is that while I was writing the play, I remember I said to God, I said, what am I writing about? And I remember choosing some topics, but then all of a sudden I heard the power of prayer. And that was the play, that was the name of the play that I wrote. I wrote the whole entire play for 17 people. Record. Okay. Yeah, so the interesting part about the doing all of this, so now I had was to cast the members, and I had casting for a month, for a whole month, and I did 120 people. I had every character that was in that play was a seasoned and a unionized actor. And what was amazing about it is how they wanted to be a part of this play. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if these people know that I'm not a playwright. I'm not a, because they wanted to do it
It
so
didn't
bad.
matter because it was out of your hands.
Yeah,
It was out
right,
of your hands. It was ordained. It was a gift
right,
from God. There, God wanted this play to come out, and He inspired you, and He put the inspiration to all the other people that was part of the ensemble to be where they needed to be.
right. So after the audition, I went through the whole thing. I wrote the play. I produced the play. I helped with the direction to direct the play. But the most important part or interesting part of the doing this was the night before the play. Because the week leading up to the play, my husband decided he's going to take me on vacation. So I had the girl who was helping me with the directing to run it. I came back and I was told that one of my main characters quit. This is like a week before the play. And I remember just going home and I wasn't anxious or anything because I'm like, oh no, this is not going to happen. I have this play. The tickets are being sold. People are buying my tickets. The theater is rented because I had the whole thing. It was in a theater and everything. I'm selling tickets on Eventbrite. I have the actors selling tickets. And one of my main actors quit. So that kind of, even though it was kind of like an upheaval moment for me, I really wasn't anxious. I managed to talk her down and she finally came back. So the night before the play, James, I got another vision. And what I actually saw was the whole theater and the people. And I remember just feeling like somebody just lifted me up in their arms. And, I was kind of laying across his arm, like, he put his hand behind me and one arm was just kind of hanging over. And I was in this relaxing mood, just completely relaxed. And just as I saw it in the vision the night was exactly the same way it turned out. When I walked into the theater, I sold out. The tickets were sold out. When I walked in there and saw people standing against the wall, I was shocked. I was really, really shocked because I did not know I could have done something like this. Or I thought, I didn't even know I had it in me. And people were just coming up to me and wanting me to sign autographs because they say one day when I make it, they want to know. So I had a playbill, and people are coming. When you buy the ticket, you get a playbill with it. And people are coming up and asking me to sign the playbill. So I did the play. It was a complete success. I was supposed to take it on the road, but what happened? I didn't have secondary actors, and the actors who were in it, who
Mm.
are really real actors, they had other assignments, so I couldn't take it on the road because they had was to go on to their next gig, and I wouldn't have anybody. Well, a couple months after that, we kind of moved back here, and then my husband took sick, and
Mm.
it was something that I wasn't expecting either. So now I'm traveling back and forth from New Jersey to here. And that was another upheaval because after all that excitement and grandeur and all what I went through and the success, I was back at the place where I started. I lost my husband.
Right.
That was another
Wow.
series in my life. For a whole year, I didn't know. I was just kind of locked in the house, not knowing what I want to do, where I'm going, or what is going to happen to me. So that's where my getting into the art started and how. Oh, so I got to tell you this part. So when I went to rent the theater, the lady said to me, "What's the name of the production company?" And I said, out of the blues, I said, "Oh, the Tower of Hope Productions." I made up the name on the spot because I didn't have a production company.
Yeah.
I just made up the name.
Right.
He said, "Oh, that was great." So then that's how the Tower of Hope production, came into being because I now formed this production company under which I, did the whole
Mhm.
play. And I really had so much gig set up to do with the production company. I was in the process of doing other things, because I'm now getting into it. I had a feel of what it feels like. So I was getting into it. But then it was right after that Billy took sick. So I never really got, beyond that in taking the play on the road because I had other people who had reached out to me to have this play done in their theater or in. I remember a place in New York wanted me to come there. I wanted another theater in Newark wanted me to come
Mm.
there. And there was one upstate New York that wanted me to bring the play there, but I wasn't able to take it further. So
So
that,
today you only had the one time that those original actors put on the play. So
yes.
do you have a plan in the near future of putting on the play again in a small off Broadway place? So the people could enjoy your play because once it is written, it's never dead. Because we are still 2023, reading the Bible, reading all of those ancient scrolls, and it's still alive and vibrant. People are getting baptized and blessed in the Word of God, and that play is something that has inspired you to be a creative and it inspired those actors to act those words and those characters that portray those characters that you created. So, you have an obligation to the people. We need to know what the play is. We have to see it.
Well, I rewrote the play and I write it in the form of a screen act now, where it will now be a movie. So I
Mm-hmm.
do have it right now in writing, but
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't gotten around to create, where I live here in North Carolina, I really don't know the people here because
Mm-hmm.
once I moved here and after Billy's death, I started traveling where I was gone for most of the time. I would only come home
Mm-hmm.
for probably a weekend or a week, and then I would go back on the road. So I really wasn't here um, to get the actors to form actors. And one thing I know about North Carolina is one of the biggest district for one of the biggest state when it comes to actors and having theaters and stuff like that. I just found that out. So I know that if I
Mm-hmm.
launch out, I can do it. But I do have the play rewritten as a screenplay right now.
Okay. Okay. So that screenplay obviously is differs from the play right that you originally wrote. Do you have any plan to allow that play to be produced again?
I would love to. I would really like to do the screenplay. I know that I have it. I sent it to when I was traveling. I met a guy in Delaware. I had sent it to him, and I was
Mhm.
supposed to work with him in doing, because he had the theater, he had the actors, and he had everything. What happened? I was supposed to go back to Delaware the next year, but they changed me to a different state to work. So I didn't go back to Delaware. I went to Harrisburg, and he had some setbacks too.
Mhm.
He had lost his mother and stuff. So it kind of on the back burner, but it's really not dead. It's really not dead. Um, I
But
was
by the grace of the Almighty, by doing this program, we're gonna reach out to some people, some directors, some producers, somebody who has a playhouse or some kind of TV station or something that's going to make sure that your play gets produced. By the grace of the Almighty, it's gonna happen. I'm putting it out there in the ether. It's gonna happen.
well, that same guy from the theater, when I first told him about the power of prayer, because his mother was the one who introduced me to him. I am in the process of writing a 5-part miniseries on a murder mystery, and
Mhm.
I have started it, and he read the first part of it, and he was really, really shocked. And when I read it, when I told him that, I have no training, he was like, I could see he didn't believe me. And I was telling him, really, I don't. I
Mhm.
just write it because of the way I am not the conventional writer, but I do have my storylines and I know
Mhm.
how the story is supposed to go. So I kind of put it in a format where I give them the what you would call it, the storylines, and then tell them how
Mhm.
and where the person is, and they would put it in that format for me, because I am a very integral part of any stories that I'm going to write. In a script, I need to be a very integral part of it, because
Mhm.
I know in my mind how I see it.
Mhm.
So I I did
Okay.
I did part of one series, but again, it is not. I don't know how people write their stories. Because of how I write mine, I have to be in the mode. I know the whole story. That's the thing. I know the whole story. It's just to find
Mhm.
that moment to sit in to write it. And I know a lot of
And
people want.
most writers do. They always know the story. They have the end in their mind, in the middle, and the beginning, and everything. Is just to have the time to put it down on paper. An average person don't understand the characters that
Right,
writers have, the amount of characters that a writer has in their brain, and the saving grace is computers, pen, and paper. If you didn't have computers, pen, or paper, boy, it would be crazy.
I
I
know.
just have to imagine what the old time people, the ancient people did when they didn't
Right,
have pen and paper,
right,
because they had a chisel and a stick and something, and they have to like take 20 minutes just to write one word. It must have drove them crazy. Must have drove them. That's why a lot of those characters saw burning bushes and things, because they
right.
had all of those things in their brain. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Because now I'm thinking like, but you know what too? Sometimes I feel like if I use pen and paper, I get a better way of writing, because when I do it on the computer, I keep changing my mind. I keep changing it. But when I write it with pen
Mm-hmm.
and paper, I'm putting my thoughts, even though it's the same thing I'm doing when I'm typing it, but writing it on paper, I get a better grasp and a better hold, and I don't have to keep changing the story, because I go back and I read it and I go now, and I keep changing it. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing it, is my thought. I'm writing what I'm thinking. I'm putting on pen
Yeah.
and paper what I'm thinking, because I'm
Right. I had
developing the story.
a niece. I had a niece, God bless her soul. She had a tablet. My brother bought her a tablet, a Kindle tablet where she can read ebooks, and she never used it. She wanted to grasp a solid book, because that feel of the book in her hands, and turning the pages and actually seeing the words. It has, you have a relationship with the story and the characters.
Right.
and it is a animate object, whereas a computer is inanimate, and you have the control to change or not to change
Right.
what you have down on paper. With pen and paper now, when you write the words down in your mind's eye, that is forever because you wrote
Right.
it down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a possession thing. So I understand the process. You have that process, and that's what motivates you to in your creativity. Everybody has a method to their madness.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not
And
calling you mad. I'm
yeah, I
just
hear
saying
that. I understand.
we all have a method to our madness. Mhm.
And you are putting your thought because you're looking, you have your storyline and you're writing the story as you see it. So you're writing. Now you could be on the computer and I have this thing that corrects, word corrects. Now it corrects my word. Now it
Mm.
tells me to change what I just write, which is not what I really want to say. So it throws
Yeah,
me off,
it
you know.
stops your momentum. It stops your momentum. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah.
I prefer to sit and write it out, and I'm very good at writing stuff out that type of way. It becomes more
Mm-hmm,
easier for me to do because even though when I did the stage play, I did it on the computer. Most of
mm-hmm,
it was handwritten, and then I would type it out.
mm-hmm.
Because I am not such a great typist, even though I was a secretary for most of my life. I don't consider myself like a great typist because I have to come back and keep changing words and I so I like to write it myself. When I put the thoughts on paper, I am telling the story as it is in my mind.
So being your words, an unconventional writer, what words of wisdom do you have for somebody out there, the average Joe, that have stories in their mind that want to bring them out?
For people who would like to write a book, write a play, first, if you know that you have the scope, the imagination to make your story, go ahead and write your story. Put it in pen and put it on paper, put it in writing and put it out there. And then trying to reach out to people. There are a lot of people out there who are looking for movies. So I would suggest if you have that in mind, go ahead, do it, write it, have your script together, and then present it. You never know what will happen.
Right, because there's a lot of people out there that believe that they have to go the traditional way to get their works recognized, and you don't have to. You can do it. This is the information age where you can
Right.
write, you can produce, you can direct your own project and put it out there on YouTube or any other platform
Exactly, exactly.
on your own and get the recognition that you deserve. You just need to have a following, and folks, first and foremost, believe in yourself and believe in the creator, because without belief, you can't move anything. You have
That's
to believe
correct.
in your works. So what is on the horizon for you in the future, in the near future?
Well, like I said, I'm working on the murder mystery, murder in Brassington Township.
Mhm.
And I'm also in the process of doing a YouTube channel where I will be interviewing people who has encountered with miracle and have just miracles and what was the other one? There were two things that I had: miracles and
Mhm.
intervention. I This won't be online until next year anyhow.
Okay.
I am also in the process right now. This doesn't have to do with writing, but I am in the process of starting a transitional home that is in progress right now.
Mhm.
But that's kind of basically what's on the horizon because I always like to be doing something.
Right, right. Then, and that's the one thing. A body in motion stays in motion, and a body at rest stays at rest. So, people out there, whether you are creative, hopefully you are creative. If you tuning into this show, always move, always do something. If you have to write a page or half a page a day, then write a page or half a page a day. But don't let a day go by where you are not creative, because idle mind is not good.
Just put what you have in your mind, put it on pen and paper.
Mhm.
It will come together if you keep get it going at it.
Okay, so one last thing, is there any words of wisdom that you may have for my viewers out there? Just the floor is yours. Anything you want to say before we sign off? The floor is yours.
Just believe in yourself. Believe that it's a wild world, and there's space for everybody to do. So believe in yourself. If something is on your heart to do, go out there, take a step of faith and do it. I always look at it and say, if one person can do it, I can do it. So believe in yourself, go for it, and you remember that you are going to fail, but don't let failure be the thing that stop you. You get up and go.
That's true. And I'm a living testament to that. Miss Rose, I don't know if you knew this, but I was an aspiring writer. Yes. And upon publishing my first book, I went out there and I went old school. I did cold calls. I went into the yellow pages and the white pages and went on Facebook and typed in production companies and radio stations and called a whole bunch of people. And I happened upon you, for a lack of a better words. And I want to tell you, give you your flowers while you can still smell them, that you gave me an opportunity. You gave me a platform to catapult myself. You believed in me. And now I have my own podcast. I do radio. I have 5 books that I self-publish, independently publish. And I took a step of faith and believed in myself. And I believe in the creator. And here I am. I'm doing something that I love. It's not full time, but it's about time that I'm out there. And I started this program to inspire you, the viewers out there, to take a chance on yourself, take a leap of faith, and believe in whatever creativity you have going on. It takes one step at a time. It just takes for you to believe in yourself. It takes for you to go outside of the box, think outside of the box. Don't allow anybody to tell you that whatever idea you have is not good enough, because once you do that, your dream dies. You have to fail sometime. You have to fail forward at times to make sure the dream works. And a lot of the times you are alone. You may feel alone, but it don't mean that you are alone, because you have God out there. You have the Holy Spirit with you, and you have good people that will promote you, will be there by your side when you need it. Whether you even think that somebody is going to help you along, you're going to get helped along if you believe. And I thank you for being who you are. And on that note, I thank you for tuning into another episode of Creative Corner. My name is James Dale, and I thank you, Miss Rose Thompson. Signing off.
Okay. It's glad to be here.